Before we start the Baal Shem Tov, something just occurred to me the other day, and it's interesting in Midrash Rehavia because Yaakov Meir also wanted to ask me a question on the same topic. So it seems in Midrash Rehavia it's correct for me to talk about it, even though our shir is basically on Kavanas of Tefillah, the Baal Shem Tov, but this is of major, major importance. That is the following. Ribono Shel Olam runs the world. And we don't have today Nevi'im which communicate a message to us directly. In earlier generations, people were on a high madrega, and the nation as a whole was on a high madrega, and then within that high madrega you had the giants of the madrega who were able to communicate what Hashem's message was. They received it from Hashem directly through a nevuah, through a prophecy, and it was a big schus for Am Yisrael to have those Nevi'im. After Nevi'is, we have a lower madrega called Ruach HaKodesh, which is not the same, but it's still nevertheless something which we see is in a miraculous kind of a way, and we see that it's true. Then there's something else called a bas kol. I don't know exactly where that fits in between Ruach HaKodesh and Nevi'is, where it doesn't mean that a sound, a voice comes out of a Shemayim. It means there's some kind of a clarity of a message that comes and it's picked up by certain people and it's again transferred to us. What do we have in our generation today? We don't have any Nevi'is. There may be some level of Ruach HaKodesh. We say all the time in Shema Kolenu, Ruach Kodesh al tikach mimenu. There is some kind of Ruach HaKodesh. Some people have the ability to see things into the future or deeply. And you know who those people are? The people who are nizer in Shmiras Hainayim. People who have a certain level of kedusha and they're careful of what they focus their eyes on. If there are things that a person should not see, they don't look. And if it happens to catch their gaze, they avert it immediately. Those people are given a gift min hashamayim sometimes that they can see things that other people cannot. A case in point was, there was a child, I guess it was missing for maybe they thought he was taken in captivity or whatever, in Eretz Yisrael, not by the Goyim. And they could not locate the child. They looked with all kinds of police and whatever. Nobody was able to locate the child. They went to this tzaddik who was Nizar in Shmiras Hainayim. And they asked him, can you help locate my child? He closed his eyes and he's thinking, and he started to describe to them where the child was. And they found him exactly as he described it. He's not a detective, he doesn't have any radar, nothing. All he has is Siyata Deshmaya, because he's Nizer in Shmiras Hainayim. His eyes only see what you're supposed to see. He doesn't look at those things that you shouldn't look at. So this is the 2 points that I'm trying to make right now before we start the Baal Shem Tov. We have 2 major problems in society, even in the religious society as well. Anything that's a problem in society, The religious society is part of that society, and we're affected by it. One is this problem of tzniut. Unfortunately, the non-Jewish and the non-religious world is extremely open. And women are exposed in all kinds of ways and means, and men are subject to that exposure. This is a very great problem. One of the prime characteristics of Klal Yisrael is Kedusha. And Kedusha means, by definition, separation from Gashmius. Kedoshim Tiyu. We're involved in Kedusha all the time, with objects of Kedusha, tefillin, tzitzis. We're making Kiddush all the time. And when we violate that Kedusha, it's a violation in the basic fiber of what a Jew is. And unfortunately, very unfortunately, this is rampant in society, even in the religious society. Ad kedei kach that Shlomo HaMelech, is anybody a greater chacham than Shlomo HaMelech? What did he say, Shlomo HaMelech? Kol kibuda bas melech pnima. The kavod of a bas Yisrael, of a Jewish woman, should be at home. Rabbi Yossi says he used to call his wife Basi. That was what he called his wife. My wife runs the house. She's in charge, she runs the house. She's the household. Everything revolves around her. She's the captain of the ship in the home. That's where a woman's place is. Behind the scenes, being mechanech the children, giving chizik to her husband, being an Eishes Chayil. Unfortunately, it's very weak in our society. Because of the influence of the world's philosophy, women are becoming, not now already, it's nothing new, leaders of all kinds where they attract attention. And attracting attention means looking and staring and talking to these women all the time, and that brings destruction to the Jewish people. It's not a woman's place to be in the limelight. Shlomo HaMelech knew all of this. He knows all about life better than anybody else knows. And he said, Kol kibuda bas melech pnima. That's the place for a Jewish woman. Now you have exceptions to the rule. But the Devorah HaNeviah. But she was so tzanua. So tzanua. You have exceptions. Yael. Miriam HaNeviah. Well, do you think that Miriam HaNeviah was attracting attention? Everyone was staring at her. When Devorah HaNeviah, people used to come to her, she would be behind a screen or whatever it is. They would talk to her, ask her for advice, and she would give. They didn't have to see her directly. So those are exceptions. The women had positions of leadership. In our society, women also have positions of leadership. Women are doctors, they're heads of organizations, of all kinds of things. So in these cases, a woman has to be very careful that her position is not going to cause averos. She's doing a dvar mitzvah, but the mitzvah should not be a mitzvah haba ba'avera. And it gets to a point where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm telling you over and over, and you're not getting the message. So what does Shem do? He makes a war. You're not listening. And there are casualties in war, unfortunately. So that is one contributing factor to the problems that we have in society. This is something which is a national problem. It's an international problem. And unfortunately, it's become very, very lax and sort of accepted. That's the way the world works. But it's unfortunately not the way Hashem wants the world to work. That's number one. Now the second thing that Rabbi Yaakov Meir brought up. The other day, after I heard about the 3 hostages that were killed b'shogeg, not intentionally, inadvertently, it wasn't the first time. It happened before already.
Friday, here, in Jerusalem.
Yes.
A month ago.
It's happened before. We have to understand, and this is vital, vital. I think it's more important than the inyan of its niyas. Because Baruch Hu, He's talking to us.
Hello.
But sometimes, when you talk to somebody, he doesn't hear. So you have to talk louder so that he can get the message. Some people are hard of hearing. And sometimes that doesn't help. So what do you have to do? You have to scream to make sure the message gets across. When we start killing ourselves, Jews are killing each other. That is Hashem screaming. Don't think the problem is the Hamas, not the jihad, not Iran. No, that's not the problem. That's only the shlichim. The problem is you yourself are killing yourself. And that is a siman. When you actually do it, you're supposed to take a message from what happens in society and think about it. What does it mean? We're killing ourselves? There's so many miracles that are happening. Hashem could have made some kind of block that it shouldn't happen. And it happened. Hashem wants us to get, we're not getting the message other way. We're hard of hearing. We don't see straight. So Hashem is screaming at the top of his lungs. Look at what's happening to you. You yourself are killing yourself. It doesn't have to be by gunfire. It could be by speaking to about somebody in an improper way. That's also killing him. By saying Lashon Hara, by lack of Avos Yisrael. That was the message that Hashem was sending us when these people were killed. It's an internal problem. What happened in Meron 2.5 years ago? Lag BaOmer. 45 people. All religious. At Chatzai Shlayla, Rabbi Shem, Rabbi Yochai. In Meron. Was Hamas there? Was the jihad there? No. Nobody was there. Only we ourselves were there. Why did that happen? You know how much 45 is? 45 is the gematria of Adam. Aleph Daled Mem. Aleph Daled Mem is 45 exactly. That's how many people, the official number of the people died in Meron only because of us. What is the message? The message is there's a lack of menschlichkeit. Ben Adam Rechavia. Why weren't people more careful? Why was there pushing? Why was there crowding? Why was there crushing? Who pushed? Why wasn't there some kind of tolerance, wait, patience? It's all from us. It's inside. Inside. The other day when I was thinking about it, Mamash, I had tears in my eyes. We're doing it. Hashem is screaming at us. He's screaming at the top of his lungs. He's begging us, wake up! I had to get that off my chest. I had to talk to you about it, and I hope you'll tell other people about it too.
Yes, but what is the message in this case?
We have to go overboard The message is you have to go overboard in Avas Yisrael and to make Achdus. You have to do everything possible to bring closeness, to bring a feeling, a good feeling to everybody, with everybody else. I am in charge of an organization that puts out a weekly parsha sheet. It's called Ish L'Re'ehu. Ish L'Re'ehu. And I write articles there, occasionally editorials. And one of the editorials I wrote a couple of weeks back is that we have to be very, very makir tov to the tzava, to the army. They're saving our lives. If we wouldn't have an army, Hamas would have come in all the way to Yerushalayim from the south. They had plans. They're very sophisticated, very intelligent. They had plans to go all the way through and take over everything. Baruch Hashem, the army, whatever it was, the police, stopped it at a certain point. You have to be makatov. Someone does you a taiva, be makatov. Be thankful. Show your appreciation. I get a call. I was so upset. Get a call by a religious Jew from Bnei Brak, Tel Aviv. I remember where he was. I think he said Bnei Brak. What do you mean? What do you mean to be thankful to the tzava? What do you mean to be thankful? You know how many Rosh Yeshivas are against that? So these are our Rosh Yeshivas who are against saying thank you to the tzava, because in the tzava there's preachers, all kinds of things. Don't look at it. Be thankful what they did you a taiva. Someone does something good for you, say thank you. That's all. You are perfect. No one's perfect. But if someone does you a good thing, a good term, be appreciative. At least say thank you to the person. That's all I said. Right away, called me up on Motzei Shabbos. How do you have the right to say thank you? Rosh Yeshivas are against it. This is our problem. Rabbi Yaakov asks, what is the antidote? What do we do? What are we supposed to do? We have to do everything to make more Achdus, more Avos Yisrael. We have to bend over backwards with Mesiras Nefesh to try to make as much as we can. More Avos Yisrael, more and more and more. That's what Hashem is telling us. He's screaming it. That's the message.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
what do we say to those people?
Well, we have to tell him this. I'm going to call that person back. I got his telephone number. I'm going to call him back.
If you go to the Baal folk, these people there, they even have the how do you say, speaking against Israel, speaking against
We have to try. We have to try the best. It's a very simple idea. It's a very simple idea. If somebody does you a taiva, say thank you. That's all. Yeah, say thank you. Don't have to go into all the philosophy. Do they have right and wrong? What they do, everything is. But no one's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But someone does you a taiva, say thank you. That's all. Yes.
I think Hamas is directly responsible for what happened. They are wrapping up toy babies, crying. So if a soldier shows compassion, it's all a trap.
Yeah,
Every step is a trap there.
Let me explain to you something. When we have the zchuyot, when we have all the merits that we need, that creates a protective coating so that nothing happens. Even though they make all the tricks that they do and all the sophisticated ways of tripping us up, if we have this protective coating of Achdus, we will be protected against those traps also, against all the, what do you call it, the tricks that they're playing to make us fall and stumble, whatever it is. Ambushes, all these things. They will not be successful because we have this protection. I have to tell you a nes. I'll give you an example of a nes. Here's a person who was Moser Nefesh. A person who was in Asia. He was not religious. He was in Asia. on Simchas Torah, and he heard about the war broke out. He heard there, listening to the radio, not religious, on Shabbos. He said, I'm going back to Eretz Yisrael, I have to fight, I have to help. He came back to Eretz Yisrael, and he traveled 6 days to get here. 6 days to get it, to show his achdus. I'm part of Eretz Yisrael, I'm going to defend them, I'm going to help. Mamish l'shem shemayim. He didn't have to come from Asia all the way back here. He was Asia, far away. He traveled 6 days to get here. They sent him down. He came back. They sent him down to Gaza, and a sniper shot him, and he got a bullet in the side of his neck. Listen to this. Listen to this. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, what's inside the neck? Inside the neck, in this small area, you have, first of all, you have all the muscles of the neck, right? The muscles of the neck. You have the trachea and the gullet, the windpipe and the food pipe.
Breathing.
You have, well, that goes through the windpipe, through the wind, the breathing, right? And you have also the vocal cords. And then you have in the back of the neck, you have the spinal cord. Okay. There are so many different organs and possibilities of undergoing tremendous, tremendous damage by a bullet in the side of your neck. This fellow, I saw him talking. He was being released from the hospital. The bullet went inside his neck on this side, came out on the other side, and didn't damage one organ. You hear that? Didn't damage one organ, not the muscles, not the spinal cord, not the vocal cords, not his the food pipe, not the windpipe, nothing. Why? Because of his achdus, his desire to be part of it, to help, to defend Klal Yisrael. Even though we got a bullet to the neck, Hashem protected him. That's the Yitzchak Hanoch. They can do whatever they want, all the tricks, all the sophistication they want to ruin us. Nothing will work. Min hashamayim, there will be a protection as long as we have the achdus. We have the achdus, that is the key. And therefore, the message is, Rabbi Yaakov Meir, is we have to go overboard, lifnim mishur hadin, to make as much ahava and achdus as possible. Be nice, talk to everyone, be makar of them, do everything you can to make sure that we have that achdus. That is the only way. Yeah? That's the message. That's the message Hashem is screaming at us by showing us that you're killing yourselves, and everybody sees it. We shoot our own people. We don't mean to kill them, but we did it. When a person talks about somebody else negatively, he talks lashon hara or motzi shem ra. He doesn't mean to kill the person. But he doesn't. He has something against him, whatever. That's the message. We must do everything possible to make achdus, to make Avos Yisrael. That's what Hashem wants to tell us. If we have that message internalized into us and we practice it, we have no wars. Everything will be shalom. Be shalom beinenu, there'll be shalom in every way. That's the message. Of course, we shouldn't forget the union of Tznius, also the preachers too. Very, very important. Those two things are, I think, the major obstacles that we have in society today. Those two areas. If we correct those two things, as with Hashem, the Geula Shlema will come. Meir of Yameinu. Okay, so that's that. We can go now. Yes. Modesty and unity. Unity. Ahava, correct. Yes.
Shortly after the war started, and they started putting up the posters with the pictures of the hostages, I thought to myself, it'd be good to pick one person. So I'd have a picture in my mind. And I did. I called it adopting the person.
Okay.
One of the hostages. So I could pray for that person
Good.
every day in his name, and then for all the hostages in general. Mm-hmm. That person was Alon Shamries.
The person was?
Alon Shami, one of the guys that was killed. I had to think to myself, why am I praying? I've been praying for a week for this guy, and then he gets blown away. What effect are my prayers having?
You have to realize any prayer, a good prayer, is never wasted. If it didn't work for him, it'll help for somebody else. A good prayer is never wasted. You did good. You did what you're supposed to do, but you don't control the whole thing. We don't know the whole picture. Hashem knows the whole picture. So what has to happen, happens. But your prayer would certainly be in the aid of somebody else. If it didn't work for him, so the schus will go over to somebody else. Mi'at Hashem, somebody else will be saved from it. Don't feel regretful or you wasted your time. You didn't waste your time. What you did was a big mitzvah. It was very good. Very good. All right. Yes.
The Jews who are siding with Hamas and saying we have to have ceasefires are part of the problem. How do you have unity with that? They are hurting the war effort against the most incredible evil in the world.
Look, you're right. It's a big problem. We can't discuss everything. Even our discussion is not going to solve the problem. There are big problems in society, but the general rules are, those are the goals that we have to have in mind. Try our best in every way possible to make achdus, to increase the Avas Yisrael, and to keep our Kedusha. Keep the Kedusha. Keep away the preachers. Those two areas, if we are excelling in them and we are more improved in them, everything else will improve. All right, you have there on page 150, Rabbi Sai, where the check is Tzadi Vav. Let's take a look at that together.
Baal Shem Tov.
The Baal Shem Tov, yeah. Kasher maschil ha'adam nitpalel. You have to understand something, Rabbi Sai. We go to sleep, we wake up in the morning, and we don't think about, the fact that we have this ability to talk. We don't think about it. We take it as something which is understood. It's part of being a person. We have the ability to talk. You have to realize the ability to talk is a very, very sophisticated operation. And whoever runs the world is sending down an energy into our brain to give us the ideas that we want to profess, the ideas that we want to communicate, and to verbalize them. It is a condensing of all that energy into a very small area. It's like taking the entire universal energy and condensing it into me, and now I have the ability, using a part of that, to be able to speak. That's what he says here, right here. Take a look. Kasher maschil ha'adam lispalel. When you start the Shmon Esrei, miyad kishaomer Adonai sifasai tiftach. My God, I'm asking you, open up my lips. When you say those words, Hashchina mislabeshes bo umedaberes hadiburim. You hear that, Rabbi Sai? He's teaching a very sophisticated idea. Don't think it's me, myself, and I who are talking. It's the Shechina mislabeshes bo. The Shechina becomes enclosed in you. Umedaberes hadiburim. It is the Shechina which is actually doing the talking. You are providing only the kli. You're providing only the vessel by which it happens. But the inner energy which is making it happen is the Shechina. This is what you have to think. And this is a tremendous thought. What you are inviting the presence of the Shechina into yourself by making those introductory words, Hashem Sivasai Tiftach. Ukishiyelo ha'amana shahashchina medaberes elu hadiburim bevadai tipol olav ema v'yira. the entire Shemona Esrei will be a different Shemona Esrei. It's not you who are talking to Hashem. You have to realize that your ability to talk to Hashem is from the Shekhinah itself. That is the inner energy which is allowing you to talk. And while you are talking, it is the Shekhinah which is operating within you, which is giving you that ability. And he says, if you have those thoughts as you start this Shemona Esrei, b'vadai tipol alav eim v'yira, there's no question that if you're serious and you're amiti, that you will automatically, all of a sudden, straighten yourself out, and a feeling of awesomeness and Yiras Shamayim will completely penetrate every part of you. But you have to have that thought. And you have to remember when you start this one Esrei every single time to have that thought. That I should not take my speech as something as, well, that's the way it is, it's automatic. Nothing special about it. It's not true. It's not true. You have to look at it in its truth. And the truth is the ability to speak is because the Shekhinah is inside you and enabling you to verbalize those words. V'gam, he says further, V'gam HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol Mitzamtzem Es Atzmo. He is very, very seriously condensing himself, so to speak. V'shor etzlo, and is there hovering within inside you. K'mo shene'amar, meitzitz min hacharakim. Hashem is peeking out from the cracks. Where is that? Meha'osios. The letters themselves that come out of your mouth, they contain the Shekhinah inside them. Shehem heichalos, they are the vessels, the hallways. V'hu holech meheichal heichal. Are you going from one letter to the next letter? Each one of those letters has HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside them as well. Ub'kol heichal danin also. Every time you get to another level, you are being judged. Are you worthy to stand here and go from one level to the next? You are becoming a victim of judgment. Are you worthy of coming in here, of addressing a Kodesh Baruch Hu? Now I can understand why some people daven Shemona Esrei, it could take them a half hour. Can you imagine such a thing? How much does Shemona Esrei take for the average person? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes?
Yeah, that comes from the top.
If you daven Shemona Esrei this way, you can't run through it. You cannot run through it. Every word is packed with Kedusha. Every word is packed with Kedusha.
I was once in Sfat, and they called me for the tent, to be the tent, for Mincha, 1 hour and a half.
You are Zeicher. Not everybody has that experience to see it. Unless you're part of it and see it, you just hear about it, it doesn't make such an impression. I can tell you, Rabbi Sai, I had the Sefer of the Baal Shem Tov, this Sefer in my house, I don't know, maybe 20 years. I had it in the bookshelf, and I would once in a while open it up, maybe see something on the Parsha. And I never learned it as a regular learning, to go through the entire Sefer. And one day, a few years ago, I decided, I'll go through it. And I came to Parshas Noach, where this whole section on Tefillah is. I tell you, Rabbi Sai, it completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. I thought I knew a little about what davening is all about. I've been in yeshiva since I'm 4 years old. I went to kindergarten in the yeshiva kindergarten. 4 years old, maybe 4. Baruch Hashem, I didn't have to go through non-religious schools and become religious. I was in yeshiva at 4 years old. And I had teachers, religious teachers, and I was in a yeshiva in America. And I had high school yeshiva, and then I went to the Beis Midrash afterwards. I saw all kinds of rabbis and people davening, and I thought I knew what davening is all about. They always gave shiurim, have kavanah, this and that. Until I learned about Shem Tov, I said to myself, wow, my whole life I've been fooling myself. I thought I understood what tefillah is. And I realized I'm not a youngster. I'm not a youngster. This happened, I was over 70. All these years, I've been fooling myself. My davening changed drastically. And I'm not bragging at all, because I think I have a long way to go. A long way to go. I can tell you now that my chakras every single day takes me a minimum of 15 minutes. Minimum. Sometimes 20. Because of the learning of the Baal Shem Tov. And I'm not sorry. Sometimes I miss Kedusha, whatever it is. I came to shul to daven. So I want to daven. Yes.
Two things quickly, but the Gra had been just some long days. But also a couple of weeks ago where I was, they had a fill-in guy who was leading the prayer, and he kept running to look at the clock to see, we got to do this prayer by this time, and this prayer by this time, and I'm like, slow down, relax, it's Shabbat.
It's a very big problem. It's a very big problem. But when Rabbi Goldberg a couple of years ago asked me, do I want to give shiurim here? I said, okay, b'simcha rabbah. He said, what do you want to give shiurim in? So I said, I can't think of anything more important for Chabad than to give shiurim in the Baal Shem Tov, in Tefillah. Oh, he was so happy. Where do you have shiurim today in Tefillah? Who gives shiurim on Tefillah? The Baal Shem Tov. It's something which is so lacking. There's a tremendous need for a real understanding and appreciation of what tefillah is. And I'm thankful to Hashem that He gave me the curiosity to open up the Baal Shem Tov and to go through it slowly, and finally came to this section on tefillah. And since then, I'm a different person. Baruch Hashem, at this age, never too late. And I'm happy to share it with you, and it's already our 3rd year, our 2nd year, I don't remember. How long are we doing it? I don't remember. And I think that everybody here with me also has somehow improved their tefillah. And this is what we're doing here. So Baruch Hashem, it's very, very important. And don't forget, also, it happens to be a mitzvah d'oraisa. To daven, tefillah is a mitzvah d'oraisa. It's one of the Taryag mitzvahs. Well, the core question is, when are we required to do the mitzvah? The Rambam holds mid'oraisa, we're required once a day. One time a day. It doesn't say Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv. In definition of what the mitzvah d'oraisa is. The Rambam. The Ramban, interestingly enough, says the only time you're mechayev mid'oraisa to daven is be'ez tzara. When you have pressure, when there's lachatz, you have troubles in your life, and you really feel the need to communicate, that's the mitzvah d'oraisa. That's what Hashem wants. You have problems? Come to me. I'm your father, I'll help you out. But if you don't have any special lachatz, that's not what Hashem meant. This is the definition of the mitzvah d'oraisa. The Rambam disagrees. As I said, he says, once a day you're required to communicate with Hashem, and then we come with the Rabbanon, and we add at least twice a day, Shachris and Mincha, and Ma'ariv is already even less of a chiyuv. But today it became a chiyuv to daven 3 times a day, And so we have it. So what happens when you have such a thing on a daily basis, 3 times a day, over and over and over again, it becomes difficult to really zero in there and concentrate each time, 3 times a day to do it. I agree, it's difficult. So at least I try to make myself at least 1 tefillah a day to be a strong tefillah, and I picked Shacharis for it. That starts off the day. A new day, even though Meir is already a new day, but Shacharis in the morning starts off a new day. I try to make that my major tefillah, and therefore Shemona Esrei takes me 15-20 minutes every morning, and even if I miss things afterwards, doesn't matter. I make it up afterwards, doesn't matter. I want to know that I have 1 good, solid tefillah. And I try to use the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov to guide me, to help me, to make it a qualitative tefillah. So we have to realize, as the Baal Shem Tov says, B'kol heichel, as you get to every level, done and also, they are always looking at us, min hashamayim, are we worthy to go further? Are we worthy to go further? We want to get finally into the inner chambers where Hashem is, where the answer is going to come from. So before we get there, we have to go through all of these chambers that each one judges us to see if we're worthy to go further or to get in there. Now look what it says. Ve'im haya adam mesim el libo shedanino so beishinafalo machshava zara. What happens all of a sudden in the middle of davening? You have this extraneous thought that has nothing to do with tefillah. All kinds of things come into your mind. Could come into your mind what's going on with the Hamas, Yimach Shemam, go on to what's going, you have to go to the Makolet to buy something. Who knows what happened? A conversation you had with a friend. Anything could come into your mind. You know what that means? That means that min hashamayim, you have a mishpat on you. That's what he says. Look what he says. Im haya adam mesim elibo shedanno so be'esh nafalo machshava zara. If you were on the awareness that when this thoughts comes into you, they are now judging you. At that time, bevadai hayi mispalel bekavana, you wouldn't allow it to come in. Rakshu shocheach shedanno, but you forget that you're being judged in the Shemona Esrei step by step. But if you had that awareness, and you did the Hashem Svazai Tiftach to begin with, the way you're supposed to, and you have the realization, the fact that I'm able to speak, the koach that I have to speak, the ability to verbalize and explain words and say syllables and vowels, and all that comes from the Shekhinah that's inside me. That's what's giving me the koach. If you have that feeling, that awesomeness that you're supposed to get when you have that thought, then the Shemona Esrei will be much more in line with what the Baal Shem Tov says. You have less chance of a machshava zara entering your mind. It all depends on how you start off the Shemona Esrei. And we said, it's not only the Shemona Esrei. Not only the Shemona Esrei. When you wake up in the morning, that's where it really starts. Not when you're saying Hashem Svazai Tiftach. The preparation for the Shemona Esrei starts when you wake up in the morning. First thing is Hakaras HaTov. Thank God that you woke up. You say Moda Ani Lefanecha. The most important thing. That is the whole theme of Hanukkah. The whole theme of Hanukkah is Modin, Odah. That's why we say the Al Hanisim in Modin. That's the main theme of Hanukkah, to express thanks.
Can you explain it, please? The Hegla Rabbi Munatecha. I never got the real meaning.
Hechzata bin Nishmasi b'chemla kama Rabbi Munasecha.
No.
Chemla is like Rachmanis. Chemla is Rachmanis.
Okay.
So Hashem, you had Rachmanis on me. You allowed me to wake up this morning. You didn't. Some people go to sleep and they don't wake up. You heard of that? People who die in their sleep.
Nishika.
Okay, but they didn't wake up. go to sleep and they don't wake up. They die in their sleep. He says the Shika, fine. But they didn't wake up. So Hashem, you had Rachmanis on me, even though you know I have plenty of Averis, plenty of things I do wrong, and you still allowed me to wake up in the morning. So I thank you, Hashem, for giving me that privilege to wake up in the morning. Rabbi Emunah Secha, and I have Emunah in you, and I believe in you, and I thank you. That's all very simple. Emunah Secha. And I have to have Emunah. I mean, you're running the world. You're running the world. I don't know what's going to happen with me when I go to sleep. I know what's going to be after I go to sleep. I'm in your hands. I have Emunah that Hashem, I'm going to keep on going. And I thank you for the Rahman to let me wake up. So you start the day off that way. Then you wash your hands properly 3 times, as we call it, Negel Vas and Tefillah Yadayim. And you walk to shul with that impression in your mind, I'm going now to speak to God. I'm not just going to meet my friends in shul. I'm going to speak to God. And when you walk into the building, you're in the building, then you stop before you walk into the Beis HaKnesses. You stop at the door. Now I'm entering a higher level. This is Hashem's chambers. This is His house. It's not the street anymore. It's not my salon, not my living room. This is Hashem's house. Here is required another mindset altogether. Walking into shul, I have to walk in already with a feeling of awesomeness. This is Hashem's home. Hashem's home. If you see something on the floor, will you pick it up? How do you have a piece of paper on the floor in Hashem's home? How could you leave it there? This is the way you think of Hashem's home. It doesn't matter to you. I didn't drop it. I didn't drop it. Let the other person who let it fall, let him pick it up. What do you mean let him pick it up? You see that Hashem's house is dirty. There's a piece of paper on the floor. How can you leave it there? This is Hashem's house. It has to be clean. This is the way you have your awesomeness for Kadosh Baruch Hu. Where's your Yiras Shamayim? You walked into shul, you stop at the door, and you say, what do you say? When you stop at the door, what are you supposed to say? When you stand at the door, you have to thank God with your great chesed. You allow me to come to shul. And you walk into shul, you bow slightly to the Yoren Kodesh. With your Shemayim. And if you want to do it really the right way, you should make sure you have your talis and tefillin on before you walk into the shul. Many people, most people, come into shul, take out their talis and tefillin, put it on in shul. You're coming into shul, you're not dressed properly. How can you come into the meet to meet the king when you're not dressed properly? When you go to meet an important person, you want to make sure your suit is straight, the attire is straight, you're wearing nice, respectable clothing. You walk into shul in the morning, you walk in without your talis and tefillin. You're supposed to really, the Zohar says, put on your talis and tefillin at home. And walk to shul from your house to the shul already in talis and tefillin. But at the very least, at least outside the shul proper, in the hallway, the next room, wherever it is, put on your talis and tefillin. When you walk into shul, you're already dressed properly to address the king. That's what you're supposed to do. You already address, you walk in with your talis and tefillin on you, now you're dressed properly, now you walk into the shul. So it doesn't start only in Shmona Esrei. As the Baal Shem Tov says, when you say Hashem says, I Tiftach, you realize that Hashem's presence is inside you, given the ability to speak. It's already starting when you wake up in the morning. And especially when you get to the door of the shul, you have to have a new mindset. You're coming into Hashem's parlor, to Hashem's chambers. Here is a different kind of attitude altogether. A different philosophy, a different avirah, a different atmosphere. You have to walk in already dressed, wearing your talis and tefillin before you walk into the shul. This is a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. I'm not saying this is a chasidus. This is a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. You open it up in Siman Chaf Hey, you'll see Shulchan Aruch says a person should put it on at home if he can, and walk to shul that way. In Chutz La'aretz it's very difficult, living among Goyim. But here in Yerushalayim, you live not far from the shul, what's the problem? Put on your tallit and tefillin at home, and walk to shul, dress the tallit and tefillin. As you walk in the streets, you makadish the stones. You makadish the stones, you're walking with your tefillin, you make a kedusha on the stones. Why should you walk that way? Every second you wear tefillin, you know, you have 8 mitzvahs. For every second that you wear tefillin, you have 8 mitzvahs. Why 8 mitzvahs? Because you have 4 parashas on the Shel Yad, 4 parashas on the Shel Rosh, and in each parasha it has the mitzvah of tefillin. So you have 8 times it's mentioned a mitzvah that say to wear tefillin, and every second you're wearing it, you have 8 mitzvahs. Can you afford to give up 8 mitzvahs like that, just like this? Who wouldn't want to have 8 mitzvahs added to his, his bank account? Every single second you're wearing tefillin, you have 8 mitzvahs. Okay, so that's what the Baal Shem Tov says about how you start the Shemona Esrei. Start the Shemona Esrei. We'll do one more paragraph, Tzadik Zayin. When you say Hashem Zay Tiftach, you have to realize already you are being imbued with the koach of the Shechina to say those words. So it's not you yourself are talking, it's the Shechina medaberes bitoch grono. Within your throat is the koach of the Shechina will give you the ability to speak. Next one, Tzadi Zayin. Habal Shem Tov Omar, Amar Shomer Bezoar. Pekudei, Daf Reish Mem Hei, Amin Beis. Shedonin es ha'adam b'kol heichel v'heichel, megarshin oso me'heichel. They are judging you in every chamber as you in Bashamayim. Perush. Ki hadiburim, the words themselves, nikra heichelos. Shehaseichel shora behem. The words that comes out of your mouth, your intelligence, your mind, is in those words, in those letters. V'hodam hamispalel hu holech me'os la'os. As you are davening, you're going from letter to letter. U'me'teva le'teva. Those words themselves are a heichel. They are chambers. U'kushe'eno kedai. And if you're not worthy, megarshin oso, they are divorcing you. They are separating themselves from you. Dahainu shezorkin lo machshava zara. You hear that, Rabbi say? The fact that we have these thoughts shows that we're not worthy. Why? Because we didn't take the preparation beforehand. We didn't prepare ourselves. You're not really worthy to come here because you didn't dress yourself properly. You didn't say Hashem Zay Tiftach with the Yira Shemayim, with the aim of a Yira. And therefore, they throw you these thoughts, and that is an indication that you are not having your tefillah accepted. It's very, very important. One little consolation there is. What is that? If you daven with a minion, he's talking about here an individual. An individual. If you daven with a minion, you have the protection of the minion, and you can become absolved in the whole group. So as a group, they will not throw you out because you're part of the group. Heinel kabir al yemas. The pasuk we say, and the davening is brought down in the Mefarshim. If you daven as part of a minion, this all is referring to a person who's davening by himself. You davening with a minion, but if you daven with a minion, tefillah b'tzibur, you have the protection of the tzibur. You have their schuyot, and that has a stronger call by Shemayim, and they will not throw you out. Yeah.
So, when Kodo goes slower in the tzibur, you belong to the tzibur or not?
As long as you start together. As long as you start together.
To start at the beginning.
Yes. You start the Shemona Esrei together, and then that you have the chus of the tzibur. Right, that's it. Okay, so we'll stop over here today. See if you want to get somebody, maybe one person to make a minion, we can say Kaddish.